Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Monday edition of the Computer America Show. It's our pre-show screening that we do before we go on the air. Ben and I have a really interesting show for you tonight. Again, as I said, hopefully all of you had a great weekend. Hopefully you did some fun stuff. We have an alternative browser we're going to be talking about. For those of you who are looking for a web browser that thinks of you, the user, Vivaldi is here with us tonight. We're going to be talking to the company's CEO. He's here with us in the first hour. And then in hour two, you ever try to read news stories
2 minutes until showtime
on your morning commute, when you're on the train or whatever, and you don't have much time? Well, sometimes it's just too long and you didn't get a chance to read it. TLDR is here with us, talking about their TLDR, which stands for Too Long Didn't Read, and a new way of reading multiple stories in a fraction of the time. So they're here with us in hour two, and if we have time, we will do Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in about a little over a minute.
One minute until showtime.
Okay, John, you're still with us? Everything all set?
Everything is all set.
Okay, stand by. We'll be starting in less than 60 seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it's Monday. All right. Hopefully all of you had a great weekend and did something fun, as we always try to do on the weekends. And Ben, did you do anything fun this weekend?
Did I do anything fun this weekend? I don't even remember. So no, I assume not. I think another Ben took over. So no.
Just a kind of blur, right? Well, maybe.
What about you?
No, it was sort of an uneventful weekend. I got some things done around that. We got some things done around the house, and
No, it was the first. It was the first weekend after St. Patty's Day. So you had your fun on Tuesday. What are you gonna do on Friday?
That's right. Good point. Excellent point. I did see a couple. I did see a movie that had, on Netflix, which was kind of interesting. And you know what I'm looking forward to? In April on Netflix, they're going to have the TV series, Daredevil is going to be not the movie, but the TV series. They're going to have the first season.
Oh yeah, that's a Netflix original, right?
Yeah, it's an exclusive, and I am looking forward to it. It's all different actors. It's not Ben Affleck who did the movie.
I hope it's as good as Ben Affleck.
Well, okay. Well, Ben Affleck is going to be the new Batman too, so that's going to be interesting. So, he
Oh yeah, and the new Batman vs Superman franchise. Yeah.
yeah, it should be interesting. Lots of, and of course, in May we're going to see was it Ultron, the Marvel movie, Captain America, the Ultron movie. That I'm looking forward to. That's going to be that looks something like it's going to be very enjoyable. Anyway, so we got a great program planned for you in hour two. If you are a commuter or you like to read lots of news stories, but you find yourself running out of time to read them, we have a new high-tech way that you can read a lot of news stories in a very, very little amount of time. So we're going to be talking. It's called TLDR, and we're going to have the company CEO joining us in the second hour. If you now, before we introduce our first hour guest, if you have a comment or a question for our guest, we invite you to give us a call. 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. 347-884-8881. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. Just click the chat room /video button. On the left-hand side of that screen, you'll see the entry form. Just put in a username, click the connect button, and your browser will move you into the chat room. On the right-hand side, we'll start the automatically our live Computer America video streaming. That's right. Not only can you listen to the Computer America show, you can now also watch us. You'll see myself. You can see Ben. Sometimes you can see our guests, but it's all there for you to watch as well as interact with. So it's all at computeramerica.com. Okay, if nothing else, let's. I'm kind of excited about this first guest. This looks really, really interesting. Now let's go back in time a little bit to 1994. You were still around in yeah, you're old in 94.
Well, why are you dredging up the ancient past? That's crazy. It's like 21 years ago.
Yeah. Well, two programmers started working on a web browser. You see, their idea was to make a really fast browser capable of running on limited hardware, keeping in mind that users are individuals with their own requirements and wishes. Okay, and guess what was born? Opera. Opera was born, and there you go. But now we go. You fast forward to 2015, and the browser they once loved has changed its direction. According to them, sadly, they feel that it's no longer serving its community of users and contributors who helped build the browser in the first place. So they came to a natural conclusion. They must make a new browser. A browser for themselves and a browser for their friends. A browser that's fast, but also a browser that is rich in functionality, highly flexible, and puts the user first. In other words, a browser that's made for you, okay, and it's called Vivaldi. Now, joining us is John S. von Tetzner, the CEO of Vivaldi. John, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing fine. So, did I describe Vivaldi correct, or would you add to that, or as the creator and CEO of Vivaldi? Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the browser that you've created?
Well, I mean, I think the description is right, and I think it's very correct to take this all the way back to what we were doing at Opera. I mean, the idea with what we are doing is we feel that the browsers that are made today, they're kind of trying to gather for a broader group of people. They're trying to build a browser for everyone, and we're trying to build a browser for a certain group of people, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, so what is that group of people that you're working for to try to write for?
Well, I mean, what we're doing is if you're spending a lot of time online and you just want to be able to work faster with your browser. I mean, some people are just happy with, I mean, they start their browser and they close their browser, they open a couple of tabs, and that's about it. Other people, they like to keep a lot of tabs open, they like to use keyboard shortcuts, they actually care where they place their tabs, and they have opinions on how things should look. And that's the group that we're working to provide a great browser for.
Okay. Well, now, I mentioned 1994. Now, was that when you started to work with browsers? When did you start to work with browsers?
It is 1994. So I mean, we actually at the research lab where I was working, we started working with the web in 1992. So fairly early, but we actually started working on the browser in 1994.
So you feel that with all the browsers out there, I mean, there's Firefox, there's Mozilla, there's Chrome, I mean, there's Safari, I mean, we can go on and on with them. You still feel that we need another browser, really?
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about it, I mean, most all of us, we spend a lot of time with our browsers. So the idea that just a handful of browsers would be able to fit all needs, I think that just doesn't make any sense. Also, there's a trend with the browsers. They're all going in the same direction a bit. They're all trying to gather for users that, well, all users. And what that means, they're going for simplification. A lot of the functionality, you can find it there, but it's difficult to access, or you'll need a lot of extensions. So what we are trying to do is build more readily available things into the browser, so you'll be able to access the content that you want in a more efficient way. If you look at like Google, I mean, they've said that their idea is kind of the browser just disappears, and then the focus is on the content. Well, that's all well, and that's fine, but if you're actually wanting to deal with a lot of pages at the same time, and you're wanting to deal efficiently with content, then you need something else.
Well, you know what I've noticed with Chrome, for example, is that when I open up a couple tabs, there's no problem. But when I've opened up, let's say, 10 or 12 tabs, it really gets bogged down. I mean, and I don't think I'm the only one who's experienced it. You open up 12 tabs in there, and it really gets slow. Are you saying that your browser is not going to have that problem or problems like that?
Well, clearly our goal is to be able to handle a lot of tabs. Now, we are using the Chromium base, so we are not building the browser in that perspective from scratch. So there are certain limitations, but we will be able to handle quite a lot of pages naturally, and I think if you try out the browser, you'll see that.
Now,
real quick, so you start with a Chromium base, so you guys actually kind of like, I assume since you're using it, you like the idea that every tab and every element is kind of its own little sandbox, so it's less prone to crashing.
I think there's some benefits to that, although we are also looking, I mean, Chromium actually does give you the ability to control how many processes you actually start. So we'll be looking at that and how to optimize that potentially better. But the idea that you run with multiple threads does make sense from that perspective.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what happened with Opera? I mean, it's a nice browser. I mean, it really works. It does. It's sort of like one that's a little more out in left field, but it's becoming more mainstream. You were obviously involved with that. What happened? Why did you feel that you needed to do this and develop your own?
Well, I mean, I was obviously at Opera from the very beginning, from 1994, so before the company was founded, and we were building a certain type of browser. And when I quit as the CEO of the company in 2000, then I was thinking, okay, I'll just continue to use this browser forever. This is what we built, and I'm proud of what we built. Then there were certain decisions that were made by the company. One is to throw away the engine that we had built, but they also decided to go for a different user group. They decided that going for advanced users wasn't enough, and they would like to broaden the scope of the browser. And by doing that, they kind of left behind the advanced users. And those are the users that we want to gather for.
Oh, okay. So your target then is really advanced users, not novice. I mean, you're aiming at people who are technically proficient, know what they're doing. That's the demographic of the person you want using Vivaldi?
Very much so. I mean, obviously, people are welcome to use our browser, but we're trying to build a browser for those that want more from their browser, that are not happy with what the current browsers have to offer, and want to be able to do a lot more stuff at the same time.
Okay, well, what makes Vivaldi special? I mean, what about Vivaldi makes it appeal to people who are more technically proficient? Could you give us more details?
Well, I mean, I can go into there's a lot of details to it, and obviously Vivaldi is a product that's still in development. But I mean, it really is about the extent of built-in features that are easily accessible to you. I mean, there are things like, I mean, obviously we've mentioned tabs, so being able to handle a lot of tabs, start with where you left off. Then we added tab stacking, where you, to avoid, let's say you have 40 tabs open, and a lot of people do, then you're able to put some of them into one tab in a way. So it's a way of dealing with a cluster of, if you get 40 tabs, each and every one of them gets a tiny little part of the tab row.
Sure.
But by doing tab stacking, you can deal with a lot more.
So
instead you have, so when you hover a tab stack, you see the different tabs that are underneath it, and then you select them. And obviously that's functionality that we're going to take even further. So it's the first steps there. So that's one thing. There are things like keyboard shortcuts, being able to do most everything with the keyboard, including single key keyboard shortcuts. So being able to, if you're one of those guys that just likes to use the keyboard efficiently, that's your home turf, then we want you to be able to do that. We then have mouse gestures, which allows you to do commands with the mouse. We have quick command that allows you to do things through a command interface, including switching tabs and performing any kind of commands. It's a small amount of commands at this time, but it's an example of what you're able to do. We have things like notes, which allows you to take quick notes related to web pages, select text, add it to note, take a screenshot so you can find the content later. So it's a lot of details like this. We've also, I mean, we think bookmarks are important. So we have an extensive bookmark manager, which also includes taking screenshots of the pages that are in the bookmarks manager, and also has a visual representation called speed dial. And then we have taking speed dials further, we have multiple speed dials, we have speed dial folders, and speed dials are basically a visual representation of bookmarks.
All right. Well, you've got a lot of features now. Now, you mentioned tab stacking. I found that to be intriguing. Ben, I don't think have you seen tab stacking on any browser that you use? I mean, this.
I've heard of things like grouping and groups of tabs, but never like. The only way I've ever seen tabs is the traditional tabs across the top, and you can rearrange them however you want. You can open them however you want. But there's never been like solitaire where you could have like a stack of 12 and then a stack of 3. No, that's something I haven't heard of.
Yeah, and I think that would be very intriguing because then you could have tabs in sort of a groups. In other words, you could have, let's say, all your news tabs in one stack, and you could have all your game tabs, let's say, in another stack. Am I getting this correct, John? And then when I hover over that particular stack, it'll actually spread out vertically, and I can see all the different tabs underneath. Is that how it works?
That's how it works, yeah.
Yeah, and then I can select the tab in that particular stack. Now, can I predefine these tab stacks? In other words, so when I open my browser, it knows to go in all those different websites and load them into a particular stack. So I can have my gaming stack, and I can have my news stack, and I can have my developer stack. I mean, will you be able to do that with Vivaldi?
Well, I mean, the default behavior of Vivaldi is that when you exit the browser, you save the state, and when you restart it, you start off where you left off.
Okay.
So with exactly all the tabs open, all the stacks open, in exactly the way it was when it exited. I mean, to me, it's kind of like all the browsers are kind of like Groundhog Day. I mean, you start off with the same browser page, home page, all the time.
Right.
To me, it's just I don't understand that, but so we prefer to do it this way.
Now, let's say something goes wrong. And for some reason you close it and you go, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." I mean, is there any way you can kind of predefine some of these tab stacks so if you lose it, you can go back and open, or do I have to go back to each page and create all the stacks over again?
Now, the nice thing is, let's say, I mean, you had a computer crash or something like that. Actually, it saves continuously, so it will start off where you were when that happened.
Okay.
In addition to that, if you happen to close a tab or a tab stack by mistake, there's always undo.
Okay. All right. So
you can undo the deletion of the tab or tab stack or window for that matter.
Okay. And how does it start up? I mean, when you initially get Vivaldi, do you define your home page, or do you define a series of tabs, or is there that function just not available, and it's just whatever you're using, that's what it remembers?
Well, I mean, basically what you were using, and that's what it remembers. I mean, then you can go in and you can put the speed dials, and the speed dials are, I mean, that's where you put your bookmarks and your favorite pages, and they're visually available, so it's quite compelling in that way. So that's how we deal with that part. But with the tabs, I mean, that's something that you build up your way of working. You put up your games tabs and news tabs and all of these others, and after a while you have a certain set, and you find that that's how you want to have it, and
okay,
that's the way it is.
Okay. So what platforms do you plan to support with Vivaldi?
So I mean, currently we are supporting the desktop platforms, Windows, Mac, and Linux. That's where we are starting off.
Okay. And are they all going to come out at the same time, or are you going to initially with the different platforms? Is one going to come out first? What's the plan?
No, I mean, they're all out at the same time, and I mean, you can download the technical preview. That's what we have out there at this time, and they're available on all platforms. We're working on all the platforms at the same time, and we're also, I mean, we're building a user interface using actually the browser itself. So it allows us to build the user interface across platforms and make it look and feel right for all of them.
Now, are you going to keep everything synchronized? I mean, like say version 1.5 on the Mac is also going to be version 1.5 on the Windows and 1.5 on Linux. I mean, you're going to keep the versions all synchronized, so you don't have to, when you have one, you know what they all are? What's the plan?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to keep, I mean, this is one of the, I mean, I remember in the early days of Opera when we were doing things totally natively, and the Mac version was ages behind the Windows version, and the Linux version was lagging as well. That's not the way we want things. I mean, all our users are equally important, and we want them to get the browser at the same time. And so when we are releasing versions, we're releasing on all platforms at the same time. I mean, we're including 32 and 64-bit and trying to cover as many users as possible on their platforms.
Okay. Now, what about mobile? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's one thing that it seems like everyone is raving about Chrome. You know, Chrome is the real big boy out there. Thankfully, Internet Explorer is no longer the one to beat. But the one thing that everyone really likes out there is how connected Chrome is, and that's just because you log in on multiple devices, it syncs all the information, shoots all over the place. Does Vivaldi actually do any kind of cross-syncing with devices to that extent, or is it just a browser for your computer and that's it?
I mean, we will be providing synchronization. It's not in there yet. It's something that we're working on, but synchronization will be in there. And we'll obviously synchronize between the different PC versions and also then the mobile version when that gets up.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about mobile. So the mobile version is also in a technical preview, or where do you stand?
No, there's no. Sorry. There's no mobile version at this time, so we decided to focus on the desktop version. We're working on the mobile version in the background as well, but that's going to take a little bit longer to get out there. We want to build a great desktop browser, and again, we are working on the mobile version, but that's going to take a little bit longer.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned things like plugins or extensions. Always give browsers more ability. It's a wonderful way for third parties or people to develop things that the browser may or may not have or customize it. And I know that a lot of browsers have a fairly extensive library of these plugins or extensions. Do you plan to have something similar to that, or for Vivaldi?
Yeah, sure. So we don't have extensions in yet, but they're kind of working if you're into hacking your way. We are compatible for the most part just with the Chrome extensions. So you'll be able to use a lot or probably most of the Chrome extensions with Vivaldi, and that's how we are dealing with that. On the other hand, we still believe that out of the box, we do want the browser to not require as many extensions to provide what I think for our user base is fairly basic functionality. So a lot of people would be downloading extensions to do some of these things like tab stacking and the like, and we'll provide that out of the box, and then we'll provide ways to hook in a lot of other extensions in addition to that.
Who decides what people are looking for with their browser out of the box? Who makes those decisions? And what do you base them on?
Well, I mean, we base it on user feedback. So what we've been doing is we've been actually asking our users, so what do you want in the browser? And then we had them vote on the things that we were finding that they were reporting. So, I mean, we actually started by just going through the forums on Vivaldi.net where our users hang out. We would go out, okay, what are they asking for? We collected a list of items, and then we got people to vote on the items that they thought were the most important. Now, our goal is to get most everything that everyone wants. We believe that everyone has the right to get things their way, and we'll bend over backward to do just that. I mean, provide people with a browser that they can customize to do exactly what they want. So out of the box, you can't make everyone happy. I think in a way that's a given one, but they should be able to go into the settings, change a few things, and then the browser should be the way they like it.
So what's going to prevent Vivaldi becoming its, by following that mantra, that what you just say, isn't it possible that, after a year or 2 or 3, Vivaldi might start finding itself going down the path of Opera or some of the other browsers, because you're trying to please everybody, and in that endeavor, aren't there dangers?
Well, I think, I mean, in some ways, I mean, this is something that we've done before. We did this at Opera as well. Mm-hmm. So Opera is going down the direction where the idea of satisfying everyone is about actually minimizing the browser. And that's what most everyone is doing. It's about just having something simple out of the box, and then you can change the browser through extensions typically. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to gather for a group that actually wants something more out of the box. So we're not trying to build a browser for everyone, but we are trying to, for those users, we also know that they're extremely demanding. They want a browser to be exactly the way they want it to be. And then we provide that flexibility. So we are gathering for a certain group of people with very strong demands, and we'll do our best to satisfy their needs. Now, other users may choose to use us, but again, the focus is on those users that want more.
All right. Well, now, one of the things, let's talk a little bit about mail. When obviously there are mail programs like Outlook, and although it seems that the trend is more toward things like browser mail, in other words, like Gmail, that type of thing. But that's a service still that you're using. I understand you're going to be adding mail to your browser, and if so, why are you going to do that?
It's actually, I mean, part of this also is that we are also trying to then gather for a group of users that was using Opera before, and a lot of them actually do want mail, to be frank. So there is a significant demand for mail. I also think, I mean, if you look at it, the amount of mail programs out there really isn't a lot. I mean, you mostly have Outlook, yeah. And people are still using mail. I mean, if you look at it, most everyone has a mail account. Some people use mail a lot. Some people don't use it a lot, but they use it for registrations and things like that. Mm-hmm. But most everyone uses mail. Now, certain group of people, they use it a lot. And again, that's the group of people that we want to satisfy. Those are the people that are spending a lot of time online. They set up a lot of mail accounts, and dealing with them is sometimes quite complicated. You set up certain mail accounts because you don't want to get spam into your singular account and things like that. So having a mail client that can deal with the complexity of a lot of mail servers and a lot of mail services, and being able to access that locally and not only online, I think that makes a lot of sense. And so it's for a group of people that want that are dealing with fairly significant amounts of mails, want to be able to find things quickly. I mean, a lot of the online mails, they're not really good if you're wanting to do things quickly. They're cumbersome. And again, we're trying to do things differently. And a lot of people loved the mail client that we did have in Opera, the M2.
Right.
And our goal is to do better with the mail client that we do in Vivaldi.
Okay. Well, if you have more questions about Vivaldi or you want to download it, it is downloadable now. You can check it out for yourself. Just go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com. Just click on the show notes button, and you'll see today's show, March the 23rd, and you'll see Vivaldi there. We have the link to the Vivaldi website, although it's vivaldi.com. You can go to it directly, or just go to our show notes page and click on it there, and download it for yourself. It's available now for all platforms, for the Windows, Mac, and Linux, I believe you said. And how much longer do you think before you're at completion to release?
I mean, we'll need a little bit more time. I mean, the general answer to that question is when it's ready. So we'll spend a bit of time. We'll get feedback from people, and then we'll provide a 1.0. But we still need a bit more time. There's still features to be added, and obviously there's a bunch of bugs to be squashed.
Yeah.
But we're making very good progress, and I know a lot of people are already using it as their default browser and are happy with it. So.
And as you know, there will always be bugs to squash. It'll never be done, but that's just the nature of what it is that programs are all about. John, I want to thank you for being with us here tonight and letting everybody know about Vivaldi. I'm going to download it myself and check it out. I'm very intrigued by that tab stacking. That sounds like a really cool feature. So, again, thank you so much for being with us here on Computer America tonight. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
All right.
Pleasure.
Take care. Have a good evening. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. All right. There you go.
Bye-bye.
Vivaldi.com, and you can check it out for yourself. This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. We're going to do some computer and technology news stories. We got a brand new news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
You know what you're in for, right? This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, Epson LabelWorks LW600P. When we saw the new Epson LabelWorks LW600P at CES and learned that one of the zillion label cartridges they offer has cable wrap labels, we kept nagging them until they put one in our hands. The printer itself is smaller than a rice box. Runs on either an AC adapter or 6 AA cells, connects over USB or Bluetooth, and there's a list of apps and utilities for most popular platforms. It's a thermal printer with a built-in cutter that the software can automatically trigger as each label emerges. We don't want to dismiss the impressive collection of labels they offer for it on foils and fabrics and white, clear, metallic, fabric, fluorescent, or glow-in-the-dark backings. But for us, it's all about name tags for individuals within clutters of cables. The cable wrap label is sweet. The printing is done on a white backing on one half. You pull the backing off that half first and stick that part of the label on the cable, then remove the backing from the transparent half and keep wrapping. The transparent part covers and protects the printed part. Bottom line, even if you never use any of the other cool cartridges made for the Epson LabelWorks LW600P label printer, its cable decoding capabilities will thrill you. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour here. That was a brand new Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review. We will be hearing that one all week in the first hour. Lovely. And there will be a brand new one in the second hour as well. But we just finished talking to a company called Vivaldi. They're making a brand new browser from the from the beautiful people who brought you the Opera browser. Which, if you didn't know, they brought you many things first that was later adopted to many other browsers. Think Tab, think pop-up blockers, think.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, they do all that awesome stuff, and now some of the brains behind it have gone and started up Vivaldi, which obviously is still in its technical preview, still very early. But hey, if it's your cup of tea and you really enjoy, some grittier browsers, and helping shape this one, it seems like it could be a nice one to have, just sitting around. So definitely go check it out. Absolutely free, as most browsers are, and we recommend that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but we still have another good chunk of time left before our next guest comes on at the top of the hour. So I think we're gonna do some computer and technology news.
All right, let's do it. Tonight's Computer and Technology News is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. Absolutely free. Everything at the Slimware Utilities website is completely free. Check it out. Download them all. We use them here. They do the job when you need it. And even when you don't need it, they do the job extremely well. And again, as I said, they're free, so why not do it? Get them all, keep them in standby if you need to, and when you need them, you're going to be happy that you did that in advance, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. And in the first news story for the week, Maximum PC, Pulkit Chandra, Apple to Windows 7 users, it's time to move on. See, the latest MacBooks don't support Windows 7 installation via Boot Camp. Boy. Uh, you know, we have a guest coming up this week. I believe it's Thursday. And I'm sure they're going to be really happy about this. Parallels is going to be here in the second hour. I'm sure they're. This is a VMware that virtual software that allows you to run Windows on your Mac simultaneously. But looks like Apple is going to give up. Yes.
They're going to give us some legacy hardware, which is probably good for a company like Parallels, which will obviously have support for legacy.
Yeah. So anyway, the story goes on to say that it's been more than 5 years since Windows 7, the most widely used desktop operating system out there, first walked into our lives, promising to right Vista's many wrongs. Although it has carried the workhorse mantle previously associated with the XP pretty well, the operating system is proving to be more durable than Microsoft would like. Microsoft would, of course, like nothing more than for all Windows 7 users out there to move to Windows 8 or 8.1 or the forthcoming Windows 10 en masse. But it's not alone, as even its arch rival Apple apparently thinks the OS has overstayed its welcome. I don't know if you want to call Apple its arch rival, but I guess you could.
Oh, come on. Really? Windows or Apple? That's as close to rivals as you get in technology.
I guess. Anyway, Apple's latest MacBook Pro and Air models no longer support Windows 7 installation through the Boot Camp Assistant utility that has come built in with Mac OS X since 2007. Boot Camp, for those who don't know, enables Mac users to install Windows on their Intel-based machines for dual booting. Again, it's a dual booting scenario. You're either all Windows or you're all Mac, but it's one or the other. You have to reboot the machine. That's why it's called Boot Camp. So this is not the first time that a Mac device has hit the market with Boot Camp support for Windows 7 disabled, though. The last instance dates back to 2013 when Apple launched a Mac Pro workstation with support for only Windows 8. Windows-loving Mac heads intent on avoiding Windows 8 or 8.1 like the plague can get around this by running Windows 7 in a virtual machine, or alternatively just bide your time and wait for Windows 10. So that's what we said. So we'll come on this Thursday. We're going to have Parallels here talking about their latest and greatest utility, I guess you would call it, utility that allows you to run not only Windows 7 or Windows 8 on your Mac, but run it simultaneously. In other words, that's the amazing thing about Parallels, is that it allows you to run it side by side. You can run Windows stuff, you can run Mac stuff, you can even use, they have a feature called Concurrent, which will let you run both, and you won't even know what operating system you're in. It'll just be completely transparent. You won't even know. You can have Microsoft Word in Windows, and you can, run it on a Mac side. You don't. It doesn't care. So you can do it. You can run it. You can run the operating system in its own window. You can have your own screen. It'll pivot around. There's many ways you can run them, but you don't have to reboot your system to run Windows with something like Parallels. And they've been on the show many times in the past, and they're obviously going to have some updates for us that I'm looking forward to hear about. So, but anyway, right now, officially, the latest MacBooks don't support Windows 7 anymore via Boot Camp. There it is.
That's that's something.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yes, it is.
All right, so I was waffling which story to do, which one would be good. How about some good news? We enjoy good news. Apparently, this is from cordcuttersnews.com, not one of our usual outlets, but hey, it's get good news where you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
The average United States download speed jumps 10 megabits per second in just 1 year.
Wow.
Yep. It's now 33.9 megabits per second on average.
That's pretty
so
good.
The most recent average U.S. download speed from Ookla Speed Test from March 2014 is 33.9 megabits per second.
Mm-hmm.
So on April 2014, the average speed was 23.9. That was from last year, and this jump in speed moves the United States to 27th in average download speed out of 199 countries. Global, the average download speed is 22.3. So yeah, it's shocking that we can jump 10 megabits per second, which is like almost 50%, and we're still just 27th. But hey, that's good. So apparently, the top 10 states for the average internet speed for this month were Washington State with
Mhm.
54,
Yeah.
Missouri, New York, California with 40, Utah, didn't see that one coming, Delaware, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Massachusetts, North Dakota, and all of those are anywhere between 45 and 37 megabits per second. So if you're getting like 6 or 5, you
Uh-huh.
might want to make a call and see if you can get something faster because it's obviously available in your area.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, they have a bunch of statistics here and things like that. The top 5 major ISPs in the U.S. Apparently Google Fiber just won hands down with an average speed of 230 megabits per second.
Why am I
Second
not?
place,
Yeah.
yeah, seriously, Verizon Fios was in second place with 42 megabits a second. This was last year, and yeah, and so you know, Google Fiber obviously kicking some serious butt, but also it's very plain to see that wherever Google Fiber goes, you're seeing a lot of competition, come up in the area. Like I've actually seen reports of people who live in cities where Google Fiber is coming,
Mhm.
and AT&T, Time Warner, what have whoever the ISP is in the area will preemptively raise your service. Like I've heard reports of people getting 15 megabits per second download. They'll preemptively upgrade you to 150 megabits
Wow.
for
Wow.
no extra charge.
Wow. Wow.
And then if you had anything higher, I think the highest they said they go to was 250 megabits a second, and that's all preempting Google Fiber coming to town and you jumping ship and jumping to theirs immediately. So just general competition between out there is definitely raising the speeds. Like the article said, 10 megabits in 1 year. That's a very good jump.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit of good news. Hopefully, you yourself have seen your internet speed go up in the past year, and if you haven't, I'm serious about this one. Call your ISP. I was surprised when when I set up my internet service 2 years ago. I supposedly had the fastest with 15. I called them up out of the blue a year later, and apparently they were offering 15 megabits per second for a cheaper price in my area without even telling me. So
Oh,
if you yeah, so if you haven't done anything with your internet in the past couple of years, it's time to make a phone call. The speeds are obviously jumping and the prices are thankfully staying about where they were.
yeah. Call your because chances are they won't call you.
Oh,
You're gonna, you're
they
gonna,
they love that you're still paying for 10 megabits per second and you're still paying that $70 a month. They
yeah.
love that.
Yeah. It's like insurance companies. It's they'll get a low rate. They won't tell you, but if you call them and ask them, then they'll say, oh yeah, well we have this. It's just amazing that well, it's not amazing. It's obvious. I mean, we know the motivation why they will not tell you. You have to call them and ask them, and it's rare if to ever where the ISP company would call and say, oh, would you like to update it and it's cheaper. It really
The
doesn't
only
happen.
way they'll call you is if you don't have like television or phone and they want to, bundle your package and then they'll call you.
And,
But don't wait for them to bring you a deal because they probably won't.
yeah. Hey, Jack in the chat room just downloaded Vivaldi and he likes it. He says, so you see, I'm going to try it after the show and download it myself. And
Yeah, he said that it had an interesting layout, which is honestly, one of the harder things to do because if you jump between browsers nowadays, they kind of look like a little bit of clones between, themselves.
yeah,
Like it's hard to find a unique interface nowadays.
yeah. Fortress in the chat room said also that he's saying he should kill his internet service over the weekend and call back on Monday and see what pricing he gets. You're kidding, but that actually might work. They have these things to bring you back. They'll have deals, to do that.
Well, let's see. If we're talking just between friends, the line that I use is, "Hi, I love the service, but I really don't like the price. So I've been talking to some of the other companies around here. What can you do for me? Ask them to put their best cards on the table, and they will try to keep you as best they can. So yeah, if you're looking for an opening sentence, that one works every time.
And that's just between friends.
That's just between friends.
Okay. All right. Of course, this is a science and technology month, and we're trying to do some science and technology stories. And this one from Popular Science. Now, I have a little trouble with this. I mean, on the surface, it looks interesting. The title is "Just Discovered in Australia, the largest asteroid impact ever." Okay. Now I'm looking at this picture, and you can see the people in there, how tiny it is. I'm sorry, am I missing something here? I mean, this has been around for how long? And they're just now discovering this thing? This thing's been out here for how many centuries? And we're just discovering it now? I mean, it's not like it was covered over and they had to unearth this giant crater. It looks like an impact crater. Why did it take them so long? Let's see what the story says. This is a new discovery in Australia dwarfs meteor crater in Arizona, one of the best preserved meteorite craters in the world. This crater in Australia is nearly 250 times larger than meteor crater. So this is not a little dent. I mean, this is a big impact site. Now it says a long time ago, a huge meteorite entered the Earth's atmosphere in a screaming fireball. In its last violent moments, it split into two massive pieces, each at least 6 miles across, and slammed into the Earth, creating twin impact craters spanning nearly 250 miles of Australian countryside. The craters have been covered over by a natural process since the impact, but researchers found evidence recently while drilling for a potential geothermal energy project. They found layers of quartz that had been shocked, a technical term for quickly deforming during an impact. When they looked closer and did some additional tests on the area, the researchers found that there was also evidence from much deeper in the Earth's crust. Now that makes sense, but when you look at the picture, you're seeing this humongous impact crater. They're saying now, the story reads that they had to do some digging and some additional. It doesn't look so. Maybe this picture that we're looking at actually is a picture of the meteor crater in Arizona. Okay, now I see. So this isn't the one that they just discovered. So the one they just discovered, evidently, is probably covered over. Okay, so that makes sense. Let's see what else. Now, there are two huge deep domes in the crust formed by the Earth's crust rebounding after the huge impacts and bringing up rocks from the mantle below. Okay, the previous record holder was the Vertfort crater in South Africa, clocking in at a diameter of 236 miles. The Vertfort impact structure remains the oldest known crater in the world, forming around 2,023 million years ago. The size of the impact zone is so huge that you might be wondering why no one noticed it before now. Yeah, just like the crater that was recently discovered on the moon, okay, other geological processes intervene to keep the secret. In the case on the moon, other impacts wiped out most evidence of a crater on the surface. In Australia, evidence of the impact zone was worn away over millions of years as erosion scrubbed away evidence of the impact on the surface and new layers of rocks were deposited over the top. How long that process took remains a mystery. Okay, so there it is. So that's basically the story. They found this huge crater, over 250 miles.
In Australia, right?
Australia, yeah, exactly. Australia.
Yeah, Australia is like right in the middle of a giant tectonic plate, so there's not really much, subduction and that kind of thing going on. Where these craters aren't going to be, sucked under, turned back into magma, and well up through a volcano somewhere else. It's just a giant plane. So what hits it kind of sticks. Like some of the oldest rocks are found in Australia, because it's such a stable place. So,
Yes.
but it's cool that they're still finding things that they didn't even consider, and one of them being a huge meteor strike.
Yeah, huge. Okay.
Yep. So, all right, here's one that I never really gave thought to, but I'm definitely going to check it out, sometime in the near future. This is 5 free apps every Netflix user needs to know about. This is from BGR. The author is Zach Epstein. And apparently Netflix giveth and Netflix taketh away. Content is removed from Netflix each and every month, but new content is added as well. The problem is keeping track of all these additions and subtractions and finding good content to watch when you want to watch it. There are a wide range of services that aim to make it faster and easier to find and watch good movies and TV shows on Netflix. And today we're sharing 5 apps in particular that make it easier than it has ever been to find great movies and TV series. The first one is called FlickSurfer. FlickSurfer makes it insanely easy to find the highest rated content on Netflix at any given time. Users can drill down by content type and by genre, and then sort by IMDb rating, Rotten Tomatoes rating, Netflix user rating, or an average of all 3.
Okay.
That is some serious rating going on.
Yeah.
The next one is What is on Netflix? And What is on Netflix, or WIO Flix for short, is very similar to FlickSurfer, but it also shows you what's new on Netflix. Even better, there are free iPhone, iPad, and Android apps available for the service, so using it on your mobile device is a much better experience. Because really, keeping track of what's new on Netflix is pretty hard, and like, I don't know what Netflix is doing over there, but when you click on, what's new tab in Netflix, it shows you stuff that's been there for like years.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, although they do have a pretty good notification. They say we're just. That's how I found out about the Daredevil series. I mean, they send you an email and you can click on it. So they do tell you some of the new things. But you're right. What's new has been around for a long time.
Yeah, their categories are kind of laughable, but apparently there's apps out there. This next one is Netflix Roulette. Yeah, it's hopefully no pistols. So forget all the digging and scouring and hunting and searching and reading and reviewing and rating. Netflix Roulette leaves your next stream up to chance. Feeling lucky. So yeah, and apparently you go to Netflix Roulette. It's obviously an app. You can choose movies or TV shows. You can choose your genre, and then you can choose your star rating. Between 1 and 5, or just 4 and 5s, things like that. As well as let's say if you wanted to watch something with Adam Sandler, you could put in an actor, director, keyword, what have you, and then let the app decide. Next one is called Instant Watcher. This is yet another tool to help you find solid content to stream on Netflix, but it's a bit more robust than others we've mentioned so far. It's also a bit more complex, with plenty of different options to suit your mood, and there are accompanying iOS and Android apps with the service. And that, like I said, robust. It's a great way of sorting through all the noise in Netflix. And then the last one is called Netflix Enhancer, and here's what I'm intrigued about. This is a free browser plugin for Chrome and Opera that does exactly what the name suggests. It enhances Netflix. See more extensive ratings and reviews and pop-ups. Watch trailers right on the site in a pop-up window, and plenty more. So apparently, and also the old version you had to pay for, but the new one, not so much. So yeah, if you've never given a thought to it, there are applications out there for for Netflix.
Ooh, all right, cool. Five different ones that you may want to consider. Okay. This we have time, I think, for one more story before we have our next guest from TLDR. And this is from Maximum PC. Acer Revo 1 RL85 goes on sale in Europe next month. This is a tiny PC with a big home entertainment ambitions. The Revo 1 RL85 mini PC that Acer first showcased at this year's CES in Vegas is about to hit store shelves, but only in Europe. As the RL85, as is apparent from its understated yet elegant design, has been crafted to seamlessly fit into any contemporary living space, of which it requires only about 1 liter, okay, about the size of a large soda bottle. Well, maybe smaller, actually. Those are 2-liter bottles. More importantly, the 6x4x4-inch PC appears to be no slouch in the specs and the value for money department. It's around $355, has a 1.4 gig Intel Celeron processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard disk drive, up to 6 terabytes, Wi-Fi 802.11 A, B, G, and N, Bluetooth, Ethernet, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an HDMI-C a mini display port, and a 3.5 millimeter audio input. Acer says it is super easy to access the PC's innards, with the pen being more than sufficient to open the latch on its back. The Celeron variant is the one that will be going on sale early next month, with multiple other models with Haswell Broadwell Core I processors following later. According to reports, these Core i-based SKUs will be available in either black or white, and cost somewhere be around $455 to $595. So there you go. All right, we've got another guest coming up in the second hour of the show. We've got TLDR. This is a service that's going to allow you to read multiple news stories and very, very quickly. It's an interesting concept. We'll be doing that. Again, just a quick mention that our Computer America contests are up in full swing. Head over to computeramerica.com. Go to the Interact pull-down menu, and you'll see our contest says Enter Contest. We have our Logitech contest where we have 3 great prizes. The entry form is right on that very same page. It's going to finish Friday, April the 10th, so you still have some time. The grand prize being the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker, valued at $70. We have the Logitech G400S optical gaming mouse as the second place prize, valued at $60, and the Logitech HD webcam C310, valued at $50. They're all wonderful prizes. You should enter in. And again, the entry form is right there on that very same page. And while you're there, you might as well subscribe to our weekly email newsletter, the show reminder. Just do it. It's right there. It's free. When you subscribe, it'll send you a confirmation email to which you must reply, and that's it. Then every Monday morning, at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll get the show reminder newsletter. It is the only publication out there that has the entire week's lineup for Computer America, so you know who's going to be on the show, and we highly recommend it. And from the list of subscriber names, every Friday we draw a winning name to win a really nice prize from Logitech, the Logitech T650 glass wireless touchpad. This is beautiful. It's valued at $80. We give one of these away every single Friday, and so why not enter? They're all of our contests and the show reminder. Everything is all private. We give your information out to no one. It's completely confidential. Unless you win something, then we'll give your contact info to Logitech so they can mail you your prizes. That's pretty much it. So head over to computeramerica.com, go to our Interact pull-down menu, enter our contests. You'll have a lot of fun playing them, and who knows, you might win something really, really nice. All right, at computeramerica.com. Okay, coming up in the next hour, again, too long and therefore you didn't read. TLDR, get it? TLDR, that's what they're calling it. And this is a really slick way for you to read multiple news stories and in a fraction of the time. We have the company's CEO joining us. We have another brand new News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
You are my co-host. Yes. Okay.
I know. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, it was just one
But
day.
it did.
Yes, you did. You just woke up, and there you were. Exactly. We're going to hour 2 of the show, and we're going to it's interesting because our second hour guest hasn't shown up yet, and this I'm hoping that we can get this fixed. But if not, we'll just book him for another evening. But he is from a company called
Too
TL.
long didn't read TLDR.
LDR, exactly. And now here's the thing. Carissa Green books our guests, and I think what's happened is that the link to the Hangouts was never sent to him. So I just went ahead and sent him a link to it, and hopefully we will see him appear momentarily.
Well, we'll keep you guys busy with we have lots and lots and lots of news stories that we've dug up. A lot of them are really good. We'll keep you entertained with those until TLDR pops up. And
Yes.
then we'll switch over to them and do their interview.
Yes, we will. Okay, that's a great idea. So we're going to continue doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And I think it's your turn to do a story right now, Ben.
All right, yeah, I'll pick one. How about?
Wait! I think he's just joining us.
Oh, maybe he was just waiting for that link.
All right, Ami, are you there with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah,
fine.
we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Well, good. Then let's introduce him. And now we're going to talk about TLDR. Now, let me set this up for you. Okay. Now you're on your morning commute with minutes to spend, and you want to read the news for today. Okay. You launch a couple of the famous news websites, on separate tabs. Okay. And you see an overload of information. So you click on a news item, and it's hard to understand the main point, but before you even reach the next news item, you've arrived to your destination. It's too late. In other words, the news articles are too lengthy, too long, and therefore you didn't read. TLDR, get it? Well, TLDR is here to fix that. TLDR gives you the summary, the synopsis, the main contention, and the entire idea in one simple paragraph, enough to get you to skim them. Browse a week's worth of topics in a few minutes, so you don't have to say too long, didn't read. TLDR is the news, but faster. Now, joining us here to explain further is Ami Ben David. Ami is the CEO of TLDR. Ami, welcome into the Computer America. How are you?
Hi, and thank you. So thanks for the intro. I'll just like to kind of make it more accurate, because TLDR as a term is really about making things shorter. Mm-hmm. My company is we just launched a product about 2 months ago, which actually takes the concept of TLDR to email.
Oh.
Yes. So
well, that's good. Well, we have time, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the email. Okay. And I see it in the list of questions, and we're going to get to that. Okay. So why don't you give us an overview? I did my job of kind of explaining what TLDR, but why don't you explain what TLDR is all about?
Well, TLDR is a term that started to become popular about a year and a half ago, where people are just saying TLDR for texts that are just too long to read. And you can see this on blogs, and you can see it on email, as I said, and you can see it on news. I think it's the same movement that gave birth to Twitter. Twitter, everything is very, very short, and we're living in an environment where we're bombarded with messages and information and news, and people just can't absorb everything. So if text is too long, people will say, TLDR. That was kind of the original meaning of TLDR, and then it actually got another meaning, which is a summary, where TLDR means just to summarize a page long of text into one sentence. So that's what TLDR is today.
Okay. So do you need an app for this? So how do you use TLDR?
No, TLDR, people started using it without apps. So I would get an email it was in my previous company, I would get an email from an engineer, and the email would be maybe 3 pages long, describing a very detailed piece of information. But at the beginning of the email, it would say, TLDR, I tested 2 options, option 1 and option 2, and I chose option 1. and that's it. And
Okay.
and then 3 pages of explaining what is option one, what is option two, and so on. But I already knew what, in many cases I just read the TLDR and that's it.
So but you go, oh my God, he should have done option two, not option one. Oh,
Yes.
uh,
And I think that it comes down to just being brief. It's about being respectful of the other person's time, because we all get a lot of information flowing towards us all day and all night sometimes in some cases, and actually being brief and being accurate is becoming the polite thing to do rather than being lengthy and kind of over polite and over explaining and giving too much information, because people are not reading long texts anymore.
they're not. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, they're not, and I've definitely seen your point across the internet in general, because when there's a long block of text, usually they don't lead with it, but most long blocks of text, they have a too long didn't read, a TLDR, but I mean, like, usually myself included, I'll usually go and read the TLDR, and then if it catches my fancy, if it intrigues me enough, I'll go back and read the body of it, read the bulk of the detail. But to kind of commit, and it sounds so lazy, I know, but to
yeah.
commit the 4 minutes of your life it would take to read that instead of the 10 seconds it would to kind of get the gist of it, it's so hard to do in this day and age.
Yeah, but aren't you losing something? I mean, if you're getting the gist of it, are you?
You're getting the gist of it, but again, if you're really intrigued by it, the bulk of the details, like what you would have said exactly, should still be there. It's not saying exclude anything. It's just saying, hey, what's the point, and then we'll dig for details.
Yeah, I think we found ourselves actually gravitating towards doing TLDR on email, because if you do, spend an hour reading the news, then it makes sense. You read the header and you can decide whether you want to read the news or not. But on email, sometimes you would get anywhere between 50 and 400 or 500 emails a day, which would take you 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, depending, and this is what I've been hearing from a lot of people. And if you can read just the TLDR, the gist of it, as you call it, and understand whether this is for you or not for you, whether you have to do something about it or not have to do something about it, you can get through 3 hours of mail in half an hour, and then have 2.5 hours to be more productive in other things.
Well, now who writes the TLDR description? Is that automatically generated, or somebody has to write it that way?
No, if it has to be manually done, then it can't scale. If you want a solution that actually works for a lot of people all the time, then it has to be an automatic solution.
Okay. So now we're talking about TLDR for news stories, or for email, or for both. What are we talking about?
My specific expertise is TLDR for emails.
Okay. Well, let's focus on the emails then. How does it go about it? You have like a 3 or 4 paragraphs in an email. How does TLDR pick out what is essential in that email?
So the first thing is about trying to change the way that people actually compose emails, so that people that are on the TLDR email network write to each other more briefly. So you don't need an automatic tool, it's already done. One thing, for example, is we think that we actually advocate that people should communicate on email like they communicate on messaging applications. So you don't have to say, hi John, how was your weekend, blah 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 blah, and then say what you want, and then best regards and all this. This is very old kind of style. So the first thing we do is we advocate that people write shortly and briefly. But then when the emails arrive, we usually take the beginning of the email, the first paragraph or the first 2 paragraphs. If it's an email that comes from a system, from a machine, we look for the text that says hi or hello or dear or things like that. So we basically try to find the first few words that actually have meaning and present them to you. And then we say, if that's, all that there is inside, you just need to read that. But sometimes we say, and then there's plus 40 seconds of read or 3 minutes of read. We estimate how much time it would take you to read the rest of it. And we give you not only the TLDR, but also the estimation of the read time for that story, for that email.
Well, don't you run the risk of being rude? I mean, is it not being polite? I
was just thinking, it's like, oh, hey, John, how's your weekend? It's like, oh, get to the point, man.
There's a certain point on your 4th hour of doing emails that brief is the new polite. You know what I mean? It's much politer to just say what you want.
Well, give me money. Bye. That would be it. Exactly.
So we built in. If you look at the TLDR email app, it's an app for iPhone. What happens is you go through your email in pretty much the same way that you go through your Facebook feed, and every email looks like a post. So if the email contains a link, you get the actual picture of the link and the headline of the story and so on. If the email contains a picture, you see the picture in the feed. So basically, you read email like it was a feed, and you can actually answer emails and reply straight from the feed as if it was a Facebook page and you were commenting on a post. And that's something that's very natural to reading quickly. Mm-hmm. The same, you read Facebook very, very quickly, the same way you can read your email very quickly with a system like that.
Okay, so I guess I kind of have to wrap my brain about it. So basically, I'm just getting now. This would be used for business. This wouldn't be used for personal stuff, would it? Because then it really would be not polite. I mean, you can get a letter from your mom or a relative or your wife or what have you, and say, get to the point. It's.
I think what we learned over kind of a time doing this is that we need to give freedom for all styles of email. So we built TLDR email to be able to present you each email in the format that is most suitable for it. So long emails will be presented in a certain way, shorter emails will be presented in a different way. The emails from your mom will actually have a separate color to them, and you can write whatever you want back to your mom, obviously. So you're not limited in any way. It's just quicker.
Okay. All right. Now, this you say it's an app, or does it also work on my computer? Where does it reside?
Currently, it's an app. It's an app for iPhone. You can download it to your phone. It's called TLDR Email, and that's what it does. It basically makes email a lot faster and a lot quicker by focusing on the gist of it, as you called it.
Well, would it also be a good thing to have this available for your computer too? I mean, because I get inundated with all kinds of emails, and I find myself, the way I do it is I find myself scanning the subject lines. The subject lines will tell me what's something I need to read. That helps me. Would you see TLDR on your Windows or PC or Mac?
Yes, we started with the iPhone because that's where the problem is really much more severe. When reading on a small screen and so on is more difficult. But we're definitely continuing on, and we're going to release a web version of this as well.
Okay.
But it seems like a smartphone application and an iPhone application, that seems like a perfect place for it, though, because you don't have the screen real estate to really open up the entire body of a multi-paragraph email and kind of see it. So it's much harder to do your basic scanning and things like that. So a smartphone application, that's the perfect place for it to start.
Yeah, well, what we found is that the feedback we get from our users is that they use it in conjunction with. So when they're on the web, they would go to a website like Gmail to read their email, and then when they go on the phone, They use TLDR because that's where it's really needed. That's where you can. Let me give you an example. One of the things you can do on TLDR is you can reply with a like, with a thumbs up. So
Okay.
you just get an email and you click like, and it sends a thumbs up back to the sender, and that's it. It's one tap and you've answered. And what we found is that 18% of the replies coming out of our systems are likes. It's okay. Somebody says, "Do you want to meet me for lunch?" Thumbs up. Have you read the latest article? Thumbs up. You know, and it's basically the fastest, most. It works on Facebook. It works also on email.
So it's just a quick response acknowledgement for, I've read it, I understood it, I agree, let's do this.
Yeah. You would agree. Oh.
Yep.
Ami, are you there?
Hmm.
Ami? Did we lose him? I think we lost Ami. Well,
he is overseas. Don't know the exact location
UK.
where he is.
He's in the UK. He's in the UK.
He's in the UK, so might be a little bit late there. Maybe the ISPs are going to bed or something like that. But hopefully we'll have him back here in a second.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
There you go.
Okay, we
Perfect.
got you. Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So, Ben, did you want to refer?
Yeah. So you have a thumbs up. You have the acknowledgement. You have something that just says, "I acknowledge your email. I agree. Yes, let's do this." Do you do you have other canned responses that you can thumbs up, thumbs down, go away? Like, do you have other quick responses?
That's a funny story. When you build software, sometimes you start with a lot of features and then you kill some of the features. We actually started with a few canned responses, and what we found out that almost all of them just funneled back to thumbs up. That was the only one that people used, because we had, I'm working on it, I'll come back to you, thumbs up. Whatever we put in there, basically just people use the thumbs up because it's one click, and it's enough to convey the message. And if you want to actually write something, you type. That's easier to type.
Well, it certainly sounds like it's something that would work. You mentioned it's first on the iPhone. Do you think this email solution can work on the, let's say, the Apple Watch? I mean, it's really small. Do you think it's going to work?
Actually, it can be very useful on a watch. We don't have a watch yet, so I have to qualify what I say to something we've developed on the simulator with the SDK and so on. So it's not validated yet by Apple, and it will be when Apple launches the watch. But actually, I think that the watch can be very useful in emails because, and especially with TLDR, because what we did is we match every email to the form factor of the watch. So if the email is very short, you can actually read it on the email. You can answer with a thumbs up. You can answer with a recording, which can be translated to text as well. If the email has images on it, you can actually see the images on the watch. If the email is very long, what we do is we tell you this email is long, it's 2 minutes read or half a minute read, and you can tap a button which transfers the email to your phone. So when you take the phone out of your pocket, the email is already waiting there. So I think that will, and still I'm saying this without having the Apple Watch myself, but I think what will happen is the people will simply, users of the watch will just have to take the phone out of the pocket much less. I take the phone out of my pocket very kind of constantly, all the time. I take it out of my pocket, put it back in and out. With the watch, I think that I'll do, I don't know, 60-70% of that on the watch and take it out of my pocket less, and email will be a big part of that.
Really? So I know a lot of people go around and say, email is dead. Email is dead. I mean, you don't agree with that, do you?
I think that you're seeing a lot of the younger people moving to messaging applications. like depending on where you are in the world, WhatsApp is very popular outside the US, Facebook Messenger is popular, and so on. But if you look at volume, you put all of them together, you still don't get to the volume of email. Email is the largest messaging application in terms of volume by far everywhere. It's under pressure from new applications like Slack and others because it's not very, it's long form. And that's one of the things we're trying to change. We're trying to bring email to be more friendly to the users of messaging application, to what they're used to doing and how they're used to communicate. Because they don't use best regards anymore on Facebook Messenger, if you see what I mean.
Is it they're not using it, or maybe they just don't? It's not part of their generation to know that. So, it's just the writing styles are so different.
We know, but we're in a hurry. We got stuff to do.
It's I think it's like the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook is what you use for your social life and your communication, but LinkedIn is what you use for your professional life. And I think that's the email versus Messenger or WhatsApp. And WhatsApp and Messenger are predominantly consumer, and email is predominantly work. So 16-year-olds don't need email, but when you're 25, you definitely need email.
Okay, so email isn't going anywhere, and what you're attempting to do is kind of bring email into the breathe new life into it. So people who are using messaging services, this is a form or way of email to compete with those services.
Yes, it's a form of email that's is borrowing from the advancement in user experience that those messaging applications created. I'll give you a simple example. On messaging application, on WhatsApp and Facebook, you can actually record a message. And people, once this was enabled, people started using it very frequently. Instead of typing a short message, just record a quick message. You don't have that on email. But on TLDR email, we added this option so that you can send a quick email by recording something, say, hey, this is my message to you, and then when the person receives the email, they can tap a button and just play it out. So bringing all these capabilities to email.
So you're basically modernizing email is what you're doing. You're bringing it into the world of people who use message services, and you're putting a more modern bent onto something that's been around for a while. It's interesting because email, I don't think of email as being old, but
email is what is it, already 20 years now?
Yeah.
That's in technology years, it's like 100.
Seriously.
Yeah, I guess. But as you say, in business, it isn't going anywhere. Email is still going to be here.
It isn't, but it's not very effective. If people can read, let's say 3 or 4 emails in a minute, they're wasting most of that minute. If they could read 30 emails in that minute, they're much more effective.
Okay. Well, then that begs the question: how do you deal with spam? Or promotional emails. I mean, how does TLDR help people with that?
Well, spam is a big problem. Obviously, we all suffer from it. I think that what we're doing is we're using something that Gmail developed. Gmail developed something they call primary, which is their way of using machine learning to figure out which emails are spam and which emails are important and which emails are promotional and social and so on. What they do is they put only the important emails on the primary, and they put just promotional emails on promos, and put social emails on social, and spam they just relegate to a spam folder. So we write on top of that, and the advantage is that you only get notifications, you only get those notification sounds for emails that are primary. You don't get them for promos or social. So all these emails that are just saying this person is following you on Twitter, or this person is following you on Facebook and so on, you don't get notifications for those. So it's not just spams. It's just all those emails that you don't want to be bothered with.
Wow. How did you come up with the concept?
Well, it was something that came up over. I had a previous startup that was doing something completely different, and we had about 70 employees. And at some point, email became such a problem that we just couldn't continue with it anymore. And we started using TLDR internally, but without a software, just manually using it. And by the time I was kind of looking for something new to do, I immediately kind of I saw how much time it saved us and how powerful it was as a tool, and I decided to actually turn it into an app and see what it feels like. We're just 3 people now. The company TLDR email. We put it together very, very quickly, put it in the market, and see what people say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people, it's going to be the ones to decide. I mean, that's it. I mean, so if people use it, they use it. If they don't, they won't. And I think that's. So, if you had to compare yourself with other email apps, what would you say? I mean, is there anything else you have out there, or is it pretty much?
I think it's pretty unique. I think that we're going in the opposite direction of the industry. If you look at email applications today that go, the apps that go on the iPhone, things like Inbox and Microsoft's new Outlook and others, they're going in the direction of features. They're adding more features, more capabilities, more sophistication, more technology to the app, and I think it makes sense to a degree. We're actually going in the exact opposite direction. We want to make less features. We want to make it simpler, cleaner, faster. And I think that's the big difference in approach, because messaging apps are very simple. You write your message, you read the message, and that's it pretty much. I think it's a love it or hate it application. What we found was that we're bang in the middle, like 50%. If you're downloading TLDR email, about a month later, half of the user will use it, and half of the user will turn it into their main email, and the other half, will go back to the regular application. So it's a really love it or hate it application.
Interesting. Well, if people want to see more about it, they can go to the website. The gotldr.com is the website. Gotldr.com. Or you can just go to our webpage again at computeramerica.com in the second hour of today's show, March the 23rd. You'll see TLDR, and you'll see Ami Ben David's name there. You can just click on TLDR, and it'll take you to their website there. Listen, Ami, I want to thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Very interesting, and something that definitely our listeners should check out. And I want to thank you. I know it's really early in the morning there, and I want to thank you for taking the time being here with us, telling us all about TLDR.
Thank you very much, Craig. Good night.
All right. And good night to you too. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. All right, coming up in the second half of the hour, Ben and I are going to continue doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We have another brand new News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. I believe this one is about, well, the first one was about Epson. This one's going to be about First Alert. This is actually very cool. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Computer America. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
I know you're all ears. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the First Alert Standard Home Extinguisher. Between gear upkeep, rewiring things for a connected home, and all the other little chores we do these days, how certain are you that nothing will ever catch fire? Our CES chat with First Alert brought us their standard home fire extinguisher to review. It's UL rated at 1A, 10B, C, meaning the equivalent of 1 gallon of water on Category A, trash, wood, or paper fires, 10 square feet of coverage for Category B, flammable liquids, and it's non-conductive, so usable on Category C, live electrical fires. This metal body rechargeable dry chemical extinguisher has instructions on it. Pull the pin, aim for the base of the fire from about 6 feet away, squeeze the lever, and sweep side to side. When it comes to dealing with fires, we like Barney Fife's rule for dealing with problems overall. You've got to nip it in the bud. Bottom line, should a small fire break out and you're your own first responder, the First Alert Standard Home Fire Extinguisher is a good way to respond. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Marty Winston there with another semi-low-tech News Tip Bulletin Review. And it sounds like a much better option than my personal favorite of Panic. So, you know, it's to each their own. I feel mine has its own merits.
Yeah, but Panic won't fire out. Panic won't put it out.
It will eventually. I mean, you know, no fire's going forever. So, you know. It's just to the extent of the fire. You know, if you want less fire, then probably go with Marty Winston's suggestion.
Yeah.
If you don't really care one way or the other, mine's perfectly valid. So, you know, again, to each their own.
All right. Well, again, thanks to TLDR. You know, I would think that would appeal to you, Ben. I mean, because I know you like to get through it as fast as possible, rather than email.
At the same time, I kind of already do it.
You do, or kind of already do it.
Like, because I try to make the subject line like as relevant as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is taking an app and kind of, you know, doing it for everyone else's email, which would be convenient, and, you know, I'm actually kind of excited to try that, but I think it's just good etiquette when sending email to be, you know, as concise as possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You don't think?
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes you can't be concise. Sometimes you just need the details, and you have to get into it. And for those of, you know,
give them the details. Just don't make them hunt for your point.
Yeah. But, you know,
which is the whole point of TLDR. What's your point? And then I'll go get the details.
Yeah. But for those of us who are still, you know, dear so and how are you, and, you know, some of the sort of the necessities of being polite, it's hard to.
No, you're not using the right word. The minutia of being polite.
Yeah, but you have to be polite, you know. Okay. It's interesting. This is right up there with, you know, like kids don't wear watches anymore, and, you know.
I have a pocket watch. What's your excuse, youngin? Why aren't you wearing your pocket watch?
Exactly.
Are you too lazy to wind it?
Yeah.
To each their own. To each their own.
Yes, to each their own. Well, it certainly seems to be happening that way. Anyway, Ben and I are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities, and we're going to round out this final half hour with some other interesting news stories. And this one, again, is from Maximum PC. I had mentioned it, Pwn to own. Mozilla moves quickly to plug Firefox holes disclosed at Pwn to own. Okay, so this came out today. It says, well, that was quick. The recently concluded Pwn to Own contest, a lucrative hacking competition held as part of the annual CanSec West conference, saw all 4 major internet browsers get their software underbellies exposed. 3 of the 10 browser bugs exposed at the 2-day events were in Firefox, which emerged as the second most pwned browser at the event behind Internet Explorer. But there's one area where Mozilla has clearly left its competitors behind. Mozilla, it appears, scuttled to fix the bugs as soon as they came to light, with the rapidity ultimately helping it becoming the first vendor to fix vulnerabilities disclosed at the conference. 2 days and as many minor updates is all it took for the open source outfit to plug the said holes. The first point release, 36.0.3, came on Friday. Included a fix for a bug in Mozilla's implementation of typed array bounds checking in JavaScript just-in-time compilation, and its management of bounds checked for heap access. The bug, which could have allowed an attacker to execute malicious code, was discovered by a hacker known only by their nom de guerre, Lixu 1A. Go for it. So anyway, there's a number of vulnerabilities that gets pointed out, and they fixed it really, really quickly. Basically, a co-sponsor, Hewlett Packard's a co-sponsor through this zero-day initiative, had to say about the exploits. He says he stepped up to Mozilla Firefox and knocked it out of the park through a cross-origin vulnerability followed by privilege escalation within the browser, all within 0.542 seconds. This allowed him to execute a logical flaw and take home $30,000 for the Firefox bug and an additional $25,000 bonus for the privilege escalation. So there you go. But basically, Mozilla was Firefox was the quickest to fix the bugs, almost as soon as they were announced. That's basically the point of the whole story.
That was that's good though. It's not just about being making perfect code, because no code is going to be flawless and perfect. Nope. But it's also about fixing your code. And good to see that Mozilla, they've kind of fallen from grace a bit. They no longer do this, they no longer do that. They're no longer the fastest, the best, the most unique. But it's good to see that they're still getting some accolades.
Yes, very much so. Okay.
So, let's see. Next story. I don't know. There's a lot of them out there. Apparently, Boeing has patented. Craig, did you ever watch Star Wars Episode 1?
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the giant force fields. Like not the Na'vi. That's from Avatar. The Gungans. There we go. The Gungans have that force field bubble technology.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Apparently, Boeing is trying to patent that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of amazing things. They're doing a lot of. Oh no, yeah. What was it? Was it Boeing or was it Lockheed that was coming out with the energy? No,
that was DARPA, I think.
I thought was it DARPA? Okay, all right.
Or maybe it was Lockheed Martin, which is doing the fusion.
Yeah, the fusion technology.
Yeah.
A lot of aircraft companies are doing these really exotic technologies. I mean, the force bubble, that was first really popularized in H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. We couldn't penetrate the bubble to shoot, to kill their walking creatures, and since then, force field bubbles have become very popular.
Well, apparently Boeing's trying to make it a reality. So a new patent granted to aircraft defense and security company Boeing is taking its cues from science fiction. Just like the glowing energy shield seen protecting troops, Machines and even spacecraft in Star Wars and Star Trek. The design, named Method and System for Shockwave Attenuation via Electromagnetic Arc, fancy speak for bubble, uses energy to deflect potential damage. As it is described, the system is not designed to prevent direct impact from shells or shrapnel. Rather, it is designed to protect a target, such as a vehicle or a building, from the damaging effects of shockwaves from a nearby impact. The patent is for a shockwave attenuation system, which consists of a sensor capable of detecting a shockwave, generating explosion, and an arc generator that receives the signal from the sensor to ionize a small region, producing a plasma field between the target and the explosion using lasers, electricity, and microwaves. That just sounds ridiculous.
Complex.
No, not even complex. Ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
So this small plasma field would differ from the surrounding environment in temperature, density, and or composition. This would provide a buffer between the target and the explosion that would hinder the shock waves from reaching and damaging the target. I don't know. So, and they have a quote here from the patent itself. Such embodiments, as described above, may reduce the energy density of the shockwave by creating a second medium in the path of the advancing shockwave that reflects, refracts, absorbs, and deflects at least a portion of the shockwave. Because the system heats and ionizes the air, it is eminently unsuitable for enveloping a target and being held in place for a length of time. Sorry, Star Trek fans. That kind of force field is technically feasible. Physics students last year determined that an electromagnetic field could be used to hold a plasma shield in place, but it would likely also deflect light, leaving anyone inside blind as a bat. So, yeah, and they have the full specs up on the patent, up on their website, but
force fields are I got a ways to go yet. Yeah.
It's the funniest thing I've read today because it's not really a force field as you know. It's not like, oh, there's a tank. Quick, put up the force fields. No, it's again against direct fire of any kind, bullets, shells, what have you.
Yeah.
This will do nothing. But they're hoping against the concussive blast, the shockwave produced by, let's say, a bomb. They're hoping that that this force field generator in some way is going to deter, refract, or just lessen the concussive impact. And I don't know, I have a feeling that if there's something big enough that it's going to cause damage and you need a system like this is not going to be feasible for a moving target or really any kind of target, like even a building. It would require so much energy, and then it would only deflect a little bit of it, that you'd be just as well just not doing it. Like, again, I know it's just a patent, but Boeing, there's make your planes come here or something. But it's weird.
Yeah. Well, here's something that I found surprising. Okay. It took until 2014, surprisingly, but music streaming services have finally outsold CDs. What? Now, come on. Music streaming services are just beating CDs now? That happened a long time ago.
No, digital music sales.
Yeah,
not streaming.
Yeah, well, in 2014, the money generated from streaming services finally outpaced compact disc shipments, according to a recent report from the Recording Industry Association of America, or RIA. Revenue from streaming services such as Pandora, Spotify, and music video services like Vivo and YouTube hit $1.87 billion in 2014. CD shipments, meanwhile, were valued at $1.85 billion. So two one hundredths of a billion. It just beat it out. Major superstars like Taylor Swift may have little love for streaming services, and businesses like Spotify aren't yet making a killing from subscription revenue. Nevertheless, streaming is growing fast, and it's on its way toward becoming the most popular way to consume music. Now we're talking about live streaming sources. Isn't Groove Shark the one that we use streaming as a streaming music player video service?
We use Grooveshark, yes, which is streaming music.
Right. We use Groove Shark to play background music for our guests who are on hold, that type of thing. Now, why does this matter? This again, according to Ian Paul from Tech Hive. 2 decades ago, 20 years, the compact disc was the biggest sales driver of recorded music and helped the labels achieve big profits. But then Napster happened. Remember Napster, Ben? Yeah? Or is
Yeah.
Okay. And the music industry hasn't been the same since. Physical shipments, that's CDs, long-playing records, SACDs, and so on, in 2014 still accounted for a bigger piece of the music revenue pie than streaming. But if CDs make up 82% of the physical market, it may not be long before streaming overcomes it entirely. Now, digital downloads are also next. The biggest takeaway from the music business in 2014 may be that days of music fans wanting to own a particular album or song, be it a physical copy or digital download, are in decline. During 2014, streaming was the only major recorded music category that saw any growth, 29% over the year. Digital downloads, meanwhile, fell by 8.7% compared to the year prior, and physical sales were down by 7.1%. Meanwhile, it appears collectors...
You okay over there, Craig?
Yeah. Meanwhile, it appears collectors and audiophiles are giving vinyl a second life. Vinyl. LP, that's long-playing record shipments, grew by 49% compared to the year prior, and for the first time since 1987, LPs accounted for a double-digit percentage of the physical market at 14%. You know, obviously there are people who just like the sound of vinyl over digital.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's also people who like classic cars. There's also people who like what they like, but they're not reflective of the populace in general.
Are you saying this is a niche market?
I think if you ever, if there was ever a definition for if you looked up niche market in the dictionary, vinyl record sales would be the first thing there.
You know, your brother actually collects vinyl records.
Yeah, but he's weird. You can't use him.
He's weird. I mean, because look, the album covers have a lot more room for description. You can read, you can.
The internet has way more room for description.
Yeah, but not when you're holding the record. I don't know. I think pretty much you're right.
The idea of the album, back in the 70s and back in the 60s and back in the 80s, when there was an album and you put it on track 1 and you hit play and you did whatever you did in private quarters and you sat down and you listened to it from track 1 to track 12 and you were like, whoa, man, this is an experience. Those days are gone. Now is the time for the singles. Singles have been, it's whatever's playing on the radio right now, whatever's hot on the radio. It's the time of singles. This is just following the fall of the album.
Well, singles we had 45s. Those were singles. Remember the 45 records? Those were singles.
No, not at all. That was about 15 years before my time, Craig.
Oh, 45s were the singles.
Well, and my point is this album sales kind of started going on the decline when the album really stopped mattering.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you have the digital album. Now, if you have iTunes, you can download the cover art.
Yeah, but no one really listens to a digital album, song 1 to song 18.
They just pick the songs that they like.
They just pick whatever song they want to hear, or they put it on shuffle or random or what have you.
I understand. It's the old that again. The face of how we listen to music has changed, no question about it, and will continue to change.
And last year was just another milestone of, streaming music outsold CDs.
Yes,
because digital has outsold CDs for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has.
Let's see, 10 more minutes. How about
Tesla was a cool story.
yeah, Tesla is a cool story. I mean, it seems like every night we're mentioning something new and something different about Tesla. How about this one? This one's for science, and this is a little bit of a feel-good story if you're into alternative energy.
Okay.
Costa Rica, yes, they make coconuts. Hasn't used any fossil fuel in over 2 months.
Wow.
Crazy.
How'd they do that?
I don't know. Let's read. This one from Engadget, by the way. It's been 75 days since Costa Rica's power grid last had a sip of petroleum. Thanks to heavy rainfall at the start of the year, the Central American nation has been able to provide 100% of its energy needs via renewable resources. This certainly represents a major milestone in green energy production, but there's no guarantee that other nations will be able to replicate the feat. It doesn't hurt that Costa Rica has invested heavily national power grid. 80% of Costa Rica's entire energy budget comes its 4 hydroelectric plants with another 13% derived from geothermal stations. Solar, wind, and fossil fuels round out the remaining 7%. Of course, those fossil fuels alternatives are not without drawbacks. The nation's hydroelectric dams may be working at capacity right now, thanks to those heavy rains at the start of the year, but should the country face drought or even just seasonal water shortages, Costa Rica may have to revert back to petroleum in order to keep the lights on. Costa Rica pulled this off thanks in part to its small population, just 4.8 million people. Man,
that is
not
small.
many. And the lack of energy-intensive manufacturing industries, they keep their the energy needs rather low. So what's more, Costa Rica sits atop a highly active volcano, which enables some really good geothermal power in addition to hydro, solar, and wind energy. Pretty much, they have a number of factors working for them. A small population, lots of easy access to green energy producing technologies that, like, in the US, we couldn't do this. Like, this isn't just a matter of, hey guys, we really need to buckle down and do this. Like, it's not really that easy. So Costa Rica, but still, good on them. They were able to derive 100% of their energy needs for 2 months using only renewable resources.
Yep. Okay. Well,
if you count hydroelectric dams as a renewable resource.
Yep.
Very incredible.
Very incredible. And speaking of incredible, I got to do this Tesla story. The Model S is in the news again because it's going to get a self-driving feature in 3 months. Hear that? Self-driving feature in just 3 months. It will get an over-the-air software update within the next 3 months that will add automatic steering features. Tesla Motor plans to roll out autonomous driving software for its Model S sedan within the next 3 months, according to Elon Musk. He said this in a press conference on this past Thursday. Though not full-blown self-driving software, the over-the-air update will initially provide an automatic steering capability that will let drivers travel hands-free and allow the car to move without a driver. Tesla has been testing the feature on a route from San Francisco to Seattle without the driver touching any controls at all. This again according to Elon Musk. It's technically capable of going from parking lot to parking lot, but we won't be enabling that specific capability for users with this hardware suite because we don't think it's likely to be safe in suburban neighborhoods, Musk added. For now, Tesla pictures the ability to call your car with a tap of your smartphone or letting your Model S come in and out of a garage on its own. Self-driving cars are a hot topic in Silicon Valley and the automotive industry. Google has developed software that says it can direct vehicles through any traffic environment without collisions, and many car companies, including BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Nissan, are working on autonomous vehicle systems of their own. Tesla could have a competitive edge because of its ability to add features and functions across all of its vehicle via software updates. That's one of the amazing things about these electric cars. See, the regular car companies, let's
put it this way: Have you ever updated your Ford F-150?
No.
No.
No. Uh, okay. Without federal standards, though, the self-driving car systems designed for the open road are currently restricted to testing and only with vehicles from automakers licensed to do so. Musk advised Tesla owners that at first the Model S autonomous features may only be usable on their personal property. He also drew a line between what Tesla is doing for the immediate future and what companies like Google are attempting to achieve far down the line. There's certainly an expectation of when autopilot on the Model S is enabled that you're paying attention, okay? He said, so no falling asleep at the wheel, but it should take care of you if you have moments of distraction. So therefore, Musk also said that the move to self-driving cars is inevitable, although it could take up to 20 years to replace the fleet of 2 billion cars on the road today at the current rate of 100 million new cars a year. It's not going to all transition immediately, he said. It's going to take a while. Musk also gave a warning to those who love to drive. Autonomous cars may become so much safer than people that it's possible human drivers could one day be outlawed. Wouldn't that be an interesting switch? Right now it's the autonomous cars. Now the drivers will become outlawed, you know, and that's it. Cars will self-drive themselves. 3 months. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
3 months. But I also like his other prediction of 20 years to replace the cars on the road. 20 years isn't that long. I mean, that was the start of the internet to now. Well, yeah, somewhere around there. Oh no, the internet was started like back in like 87, I want to say.
Yeah, something around there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, like 20 years is not that far for every car to potentially be a self-driving car. That's crazy. And I'm actually looking forward to the day when human drivers are segregated to, hey, if you want to drive, go to a special course, go off-road, go to designated driving parks, go to other places. But for general city streets and things like that, everything's automated. That would be a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, that about
turn driving into a hobby.
Turn driving into a hobby. That about wraps the show. I want to take a moment here to talk about this. We've been talking about the Titan X, from NVIDIA. Well, guess what?
90 seconds.
Tomorrow, we're going to have NVIDIA on the show. We're going to have Tom Peterson, who is a distinguished engineer for the NVIDIA Corporation, is going to be here on our Gamer Tuesday show tomorrow night, talking about the GeForce GPUs and the Titan X and all the different things. This is going to be a really rocking show. I mean, everything. If you're a gamer, you really don't want to miss tomorrow night's program. I mean, this is going to be a really special show.
60 seconds.
And having NVIDIA here on the program, I'm so pleased to announce this. Again, thanks to TLDR and Vivaldi. I'm going to download it right after the show. And again, thanks, of course, to Marty Winston for those news tips, polls, and reviews. NVIDIA is going to be here on Computer America tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. I mean, Ben would sell his soul for a Titan X.
I would sell my soul. I would sell Craig's soul. I would sell... No, I wouldn't sell my dog, but I would sell souls for this thing.
So, we will see you tomorrow night with NVIDIA. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right, so there you go. Again, thanks for watching us on our live Computer America video streaming page. And again, NVIDIA here with us tomorrow, talking about the Titan X graphics accelerator card. We look forward to seeing you there with us tomorrow night. And so until tomorrow night, take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.